Okay, hello everyone, and thanks for all the comments to start off this morning. And this is the second shooter blues. I got the second shooter. I got the second shooter blues, right? I mean, I'm talking about, I got the second shooter. I'm talking about, I got the second shooter blues, right? So we all agree that there's a second shooter, right? Or the first shooter is to the right, however you want to say it. And you can see in my graphic that I did for this morning, we are talking about the second shooter blues. We all agree, and we have folks in Memphis totally changing their soul portfolios, their song portfolios, to changing it over to everything second shooter blues. There's no songs anymore in our American blues culture about anything other than second shooter blues, because what they're all singing about, what all these blues artists are singing about, is how we all agree, and we're so infinitesimally close to each other on agreement, yet we're so far from going after the team. So while we're doing the second shooter blues, and then we have the magic bullet too. While we're doing the second shooter blues, what's happening? The team is getting away. We're not focusing on the team. We're not focusing on the Discord messages. We're not focusing on armed queers. We're not focusing on Uncle Mikey. We're not focusing on the cadet to cadet program. We're not focusing on the Azov Brigade. We're not focusing on any of the people who wanted to see Charlie dead. We're not focusing on Cue Bono. We're not focusing on means, method, opportunity. We're not doing any of the things that we should be doing as investigators, because we're so involved in doing this, what I call the second shooter blues, right? Here they all are. Here's all of our folks. And we're all about an inch away from each other in saying the shot came from the right. The exploding microphone, again, if I have the bullet coming out like this and it's being stretched by the bullet, the skin is being stretched, you pray for stuff like that. You pray that you'll get a frame in a video that will show you exactly where the bullet is coming out, right? Where the bullet's about ready to make an exit wound. It doesn't shoot up, right? So the microphone thing, it, because of the shock wave, the shirt comes up, because the air with the energy being released from the bullet comes through. The bullet has energy, just like when a train goes by you and you feel the big rush of air go by you. The same thing is true with the bullet. So the shirt goes up, but you don't get that kind of incredible metadata normally, and yet we're arguing over it. And now this crazy exploding microphone, they may have an exploding microphone just to get people to argue, which is fine. Go ahead and argue. But the thing is, while we're doing that, the team is getting away. The shooting team is getting away. Let's just all agree that there is a second shooter, okay, or that Tyler Robinson isn't the shooter. Therefore, he's a distraction. Therefore, that's a team. He's a planned distraction. He's a planned white rabbit. He's a planned distraction. So we all can agree that it's a team. It's no longer a sole shooter. It's no longer Tyler Robinson, right? I doubt Tyler Robinson was able. Tyler's hearing's coming up, and you see me on the road. I'm in Super 8. I got terrible internet here. Try to save a little money by going to Super 8. Don't ever do that. Anyway, so I'm getting through all the comments here, and I'm sorry I can't go through them all. But what I wanted to do was just show you the Substack from yesterday. Again, I just wanted to kind of take a step back and gain perspective here a little bit. If we all are arguing amongst ourselves, right, about the second shooter, we're all in violent agreement, right? Really violent agreement. And this is a violent topic to be in violent agreement upon. But the thing that's being lost in this is the crime board. The thing that's being lost is means, motive, Uncle Mikey, the Azov Brigade, the Israel background. So people are talking about Shilman and Zoa, which is the Zionist Organization of America, the plane flights, all the metadata associated. Everyone's just kind of forgetting that. So I want to go back to the great Aaron Adler, the person I do the show with, the Super Jew. So again, we're trying to get the team. We're trying to get to the arrest. We're not trying to say, I'm the smartest guy, right? This isn't about clicks. This isn't about who's the smartest guy, who's the smartest gal. It's about getting to the answers so that we don't have yet another crook situation that's left in suspended animation, that we don't have another Kennedy, JFK or RFK thing that's left in suspended animation. We want to get as much information out as we possibly can and put the pressure on the pressure points to get as much information out as we can. We don't want to be stillborn, right? And it seen amongst ourselves as just a bunch of people arguing amongst themselves about a second shooter while the second shooter gets away, while the team gets away. So this is what I'm saying here. And the all the theories, if they're second shooter, I'm like, okay, great. Let's see if we can shave that hair even thinner. Let's see if we can shave it even thinner. No, wait, we can shave it even thinner. Let's spend all of our time concentrating on shaving this one hair that there's a second shooter, thinner and thinner and thinner, while the assassination team gets away. Don't think that's the right move. I think we should be working on timeline. How did Tyler get back to St. George? I think we should be working about who else is in St. George. You saw the announcement from Kash Patel yesterday that where is he going to go to stop the drugs? Indian reservations, Navajo Indian reservations. What is he going to use to stop the drugs? Drones, of course, right? With Palantir Gotham, right? They're changing their story too. Who are they going to stop? ATF, rogue ATF that was left over, that still feel like their ox was gored because their drug running and gun running operation with Fast and Furious was interrupted. So what I'm going to do quickly, because you know, I am at the Super 8 and I am there and I am on the road. And I thought maybe if I move, I'll stay alive. And so that was the strategy. Maybe that wasn't the best strategy because I ended up with the bad internet. But just going back here really quickly to the Substack that I wrote. I've also written 2 additional Substacks on the old G Web, which is more the Gary Webb and Danny Casolaro stuff, but there's an angle to that because their dives into Iran Contra and, you know, the anthrax and so forth is still happening today. It's just different groups. It's still ATF, just moving it from state to state, right? It's still ATF that's running, you know, that ran Iran Contra, right? They're just moving it. And of course, they dropped the OKC building in order to stop that investigation. And still ATF, you know, it's basically our federal agency that runs drugs and weapons. We saw it in Fast and Furious, and it's still happening today. Kash Patel finally addressed it with the Navajo Indian Reservation and Navajo Strong. The company that owns this plane also has this Soros-like NGO, Navajo Strong. So we're finally getting there. We're seeing the right moves. We're talking about Discord. We're seeing the right moves in Washington, and now we've got all these competing theories, and we're all 1 inch away from each other, saying, "No, it's 1 inch to the left. No, it's 1 inch to the right. No, it's 1 inch higher. No, it's 1 inch lower." Okay, that's all well and good. Can we all agree that we got to get through the second shooter blues and get on to the other parts of the investigation? So I'm going to go through the Substack super quick, and at least I think I am. Where is my Substack? Did I put? Oh, here it is. Okay, great. I'll throw it over here. So here's Tyler. Remember our group. We're there and waiting for the plane. Not me specifically waiting for the plane. We have citizen journalists that are waiting for him to get back up to St. George on September 10th. That's truly amazing, right? That truly probably changes Tyler's trip back to St. George, and he probably spends a night at the Navajo Indian Reservation when this plane flies to Page, Georgia, which is basically on the front door. Remember, they have the Navajo Strong sort of safe house. They have the Navajo Strong NGO. So there's Tyler flying on some multi-seat aircraft. For people who don't think that Tyler moves around on multi-seat aircraft, they're wrong. There's a picture of it. We don't know exactly when it is, but the glasses look similar to the glasses he wore during. So this doesn't look like that. It's probably a hunting trip. This is probably some kind of de Havilland otter. But again, it's in that same It's in that same de Havilland family. So whoever the pilot is here likes Bombardier and likes de Havilland planes. Those are in the same family. Here's the big insight that they're having on the crime board today at the FBI. The FBI crime board, they're saying, you know, we thought he left Provo in a Dodge Challenger. It turns out he left in a Bombardier Challenger. We had the Challenger part right. It just wasn't a car. It was the Bombardier going back to St. George. Now, there's a 2.5 hour and 13-minute trip where the transponder is completely off that happens after dark that nobody wants to talk about. It's sort of like Jackie Kennedy saying, I love the little kids along the parade route, you know. Well, Mrs. Kennedy, there was the thing about your husband getting his head blown off. Well, I don't really want to focus on that. Well, that's kind of the newsy thing that happened. Well, there was a lot of little kids along the way, and they were so cute, right? Well, I'm sorry, but the news value here is going to be, the story is going to be your husband getting his head blown off. The story is that late flight. The late flight is the story here, and it is the Bombardier Challenger. It's not the Dodge Challenger. Show me a picture of the Dodge Challenger on all the flock cameras in 3.5 hours going back to St. George. You won't see it. Not every student comes to listen. That's another key finding here. In going to all these places and trying not to die and staying in these different hotels, right? One thing that keeps coming back is this same kind of psychological operations that was happening on January 6th with Sullivan. He was Air Force. You remember Ashley Babbitt? She was Air Force. These Air Force psychological operations people. That's the repeating theme here is four psych ops. It seems like Air Force ROTC. It seems like a psychological operation, right? Not saying that Charlie isn't killed. I am saying, though, that the impact of the psychological operation and the recruiting is the Air Force ROTC. Also Army ROTC. I don't want to leave that out. Also Navy ROTC is involved in Utah. I'm not saying that ATF hasn't glommed on to all of the ROTCs to do their school plays. They have. But this is the key here is not all students are coming to the and snipers, trained snipers are coming to hear Charlie. They're coming to kill Charlie. Not all the people are coming to hear Charlie. They're coming to kill Charlie. This is what we need to focus on. We've got to get away from the second shooter blues. We got to get ourselves thinking about the team and the metadata around the team, right? So again, we follow them. We don't just take a factoid of he's about 15 minutes before he's going to get on a plane. He likes Superman blizzards, right? We have citizen journalists go there, 3 different ones to verify, validate, right? And now we need to build this timeline from him getting from Provo to St. George. Why? Everybody says, well, he's not the shooter. He is the diversion, though, and he leads us to the team. We've got to get something to the team. An exploding microphone doesn't lead us to the team. What are we going to go? Raid lavalier microphones factory? You're all under arrest. We know you made the microphone that killed Charlie. No, I don't think we can do that. We have to get back to the team. We have to focus on things that take us to the team. We got to use the string method where you take data and take evidence that leads you in the direction of figuring out the bigger picture, right? And he is that guy. Here's that dark flight from 654 that we think Charlie gets on this flight. We know the plane is in Provo that night and it flies back late. So we think Charlie spent the night and didn't drive that night. We can look at the flock cameras, but we're trying to figure out how did Charlie get back to St. George the next day to turn himself in, right? Here is the jet vanishes. We got a vanishing jet turning off the transponder. That's another sure sign of it's sort of like when a criminal turns his lights off when he's trying to make a getaway, right? It's a sure sign that they're trying to hide their exit. It's not normal behavior. So again, we have all these comings and goings to the Navajo Indian Reservation. Too bad we didn't have drones there that night, right? But here we are on the 10th, just to remind everybody how this works. And if focusing on the metadata, we're in the right spot on the 10th. Okay, they're not. The FBI is not. By the citizen journalist method, we're focusing in. We're actually talking in this video. I talk about the airport, right? To my right, I talk about the ATF office. We're honing in here, right? The FBI comes out the next day and says they have no idea where the killer is, right? We're honing in on the 10th. Just want to make that point clear. And this is what we think we interrupted. Charlie was going to be coming in to St. George, ROTC. It was going to be an easy deal. Nobody saw him. No reporting. Free and easy. He's waiting at the Navajo Indian Reservation, right? Well, it changed, right? And again, we have all the receipts here from FlightAware. FlightAware is this public data where you have an antenna. Anybody can put an antenna up. You can see what's flying over your house with this thing. It only costs $100. You then contribute this FlightAware information to this bigger database. The database is up in the cloud. Now anybody can query anything coming and going over your house and everybody else's house. We have the flight data. We know it went back and forth, back and forth, back and forth, back and forth, almost like Barry Seal trying to get, his end of month drug running numbers up and his gun running numbers up, making 3 flights in one day back and forth. So we have all the receipts. Again, we want to go to the team. The team, how many seats are on the Bombardier? About 9, 10, right? That's a team, right? That's not the exploding microphone. We're not arresting people that are making lavalier mics now. We're going to the team, right? We're going at the team. We have copious detail on all of the comings and goings from the transponder and when the transponder went off. We have all the receipts from MonkeyWorks. And basically, this first night, we believe that he spends, Tyler spends the first night at the Navajo Indian Nation. If someone has a picture of the Dodge Gray Challenger on the flock cameras going back to St. George that first night, we're all ears. But we know we have the plane going back and forth, Navajo strong plane going back and forth, right? I got the Navajo strong plane going back and forth. I mean, it's like they may as well have put Utah Contra on the side of the plane, right? When you get into all their associations and so forth. So again, here is the nice landing in Page, Arizona. There's nobody there. It's after dark, right? The Page Executive Airport, you go and the FBI is not allowed in there. You remember Wounded Knee was all about the FBI with not being able to encroach on the sovereign Indian nation. They can't come in without permission, and they have to go through Jack Abramoff and the Chicago mob before they're allowed to come in. So it's the perfect safe haven for drug operations, gun running operations, and to hide murderers, safe havens for murderers and so forth. There it is again. If you don't believe me, there's MonkeyWorks talking about that late dark shadow flight. And again, if we know and his Dodge Challenger has license plates, why didn't they put out a bolo on his license plate? If it's T45 5DE or 5CE, it would still be easily picked up. Why didn't they put it out the bolo? Well, because I think they brought the Challenger the next day, and they don't want to show you who brought the Challenger the next day, right? They know Tyler isn't driving the car, but he's going to be arraigned this week. They don't have the grand jury system in Utah. They have what they call a preliminary hearing system, where a preliminary judge listens to the data and then decides if he's going to refer it on to be tried. At that point, he'll be formally arraigned, and he'll be asked to put in a guilty or not guilty plea. So all that is happening this week. I thought that was happening today on the 25th. And so because of the investigation, we may or may not be able to bring you that live. We'll cover it for sure, but because it's Zoom, because it's WebEx, it's going to be WebEx. There's no physical access to see him at that location. But we'll bring it to you. We have copious receipts of his ROTC. We have now, albums of his ROTC participation with Tyler. And we know that this is where the ATF criminals are recruiting to put forth their sort of Monica Lewinsky type diversions, right? We know that the school plays are being generated out of these ROTC. And the anti-ROTC here is also for people who don't want to join ROTC but are still violent, right? The people who have expressed violent opinions against Charlie, they go get recruited by all queers and these other organizations, Insurgency USA in the case of John Sullivan and so forth. So we know ROTC is where they go. It's not really armed queers. It's armed peers. It's armed peers, right? We're going to arm both sides, right? We're going to arm the ROTC kids on the right. We're going to arm the armed peers on the left with Antifa funding, Soros funding, and so forth. And then we're going to have this strategy of tension in the schools, strategy of tension, going all the way back to Angleton and in the CIA in Italy, and then in the Operation Gladio, strategy of tension. Both sides, strategy of tension with two different gangs in Los Angeles to run the drugs in Iran-Contra, where we have Crips and Bloods, right? And there happens to be a pipeline, an oil pipeline, Howard Hughes oil pipeline going right down the middle, and Los Angeles is this wide. It's huge up here. It's this wide going through Compton, and it's this wide. The mayor of Compton saw that. And I talked to the mayor of Compton. I said, you know why they got you fighting versus the Bloods, and why the Crips and Bloods are fighting? So no one will get near the pipeline, right? He goes, you know what? After looking at your map, I think you're right. So you saw me with Omar Bradley and the mayor of Compton talking about that. It is Iran-Contra. It is Utah-Contra. There is no difference. Monica Lewinsky was the school play back then to get you to look the other way. Now we've got the exploding microphone. It's just that simple. You never get this kind of evidence where you get down into the right, where you get the skin pulling out right before the bullet breaks the skin. Why would you want to throw that evidence on the floor and come up with other wacky theories? Why wouldn't you take that evidence, right, and say, second shooter, that means team. We're done here. We're done with the amphitheater. We're moving on to the team. We're moving on to things outside the amphitheater, right? That's the key, right, is move outside the amphitheater. We're done with the amphitheater. Now let's go outside the amphitheater, right? That's where the action is, okay? So various folks have talked about the Zionist Organization of America, the ZOA organization. I do a show with the Super Jew. We do 52,000 stories of the Holocaust. That's more than all of the other Holocaust museums combined, right? We did the Birth of Israel, the Birth of a Nation series with Cindy Janice Meyer and her father. Again, we're beyond all reproach, but we're presenting the information. This is a theory. Again, we're focusing outside the amphitheater, not inside, right? We can all be gladiators and all be like 50 monkeys and one banana and fight over the one banana inside the amphitheater. That's what they want. That's what they want us all to be fighting over, one banana, which point on the thing is exactly the point where it came from. And we'll strangle each other with bullet trajectory string because we feel so strongly about our one thing. It's time to leave the arena. The game is over there. We know it's two shooters. Now is the time to go get the team. The team bus is left. The team bus that did the assassination is left. We're all sitting there arguing over the confetti on the floor. It's time to go after the team. Okay, so ZOA is it. You may know Shillman. Shillman wanted to have his name removed off TP USA about a week before the shooting. He gives a lot of money to ZOA, which is a sort of a Chabad Lubavitch organization that, and Abanim Dror as well. It's a Mossad IDF funding organization, a spy funding organization. The Shillman receives all the technology from Technion. Technion is the MIT of Israel. It is an exfiltration operation, no question. Is that the person who killed Charlie? He had a big argument and wanted to rip his name off the building a week before. I don't think it is. I don't think it is, but we're presenting the information anyway, right? Just so you don't think we're, sheltering Israel and protecting Israel. There it is. There's Shillman. We don't believe that's true. The other plane that a lot of people are talking about is also owned in the defense industry with Mossad connections, which is Contour Air. Right? These people think that there's drones dropped from this and they're watching this plane and so forth. So we put it in there. We're not hiding it from anybody. Here's the various information about where the planes are going to with this other plane and where it's being sold now here. So anyway, this is the current thinking right now here with the FBI. This is the current bullet path. It makes more loop-de-loops than a stunt pilot, right? It's got more loop-de-loops in it than crazy wrong right, as far as stunt pilots. And the bullet path, they keep, now we're adding new twists and new turns to the bullet path. So by the time this is over with, it's going to look like a very contorted plate of spaghetti. It's time to say bullets are traveling straight lines. It's time to to face facts and say bullets travel in straight lines. When they come out like this, when they're stretching the skin before they break the skin, you can only pray for that kind of information. It's time to say bullets travel in straight lines, right? And here, we're not keeping any secrets. We're saying where both sides are recruited from, armed peers, right? This was the ATF guys working with these kids, training them how to shoot and making this look like an armed queers assassination, right? The final shooter is probably going to be some ATF Fast and Furious trained shooter from these recruiting organizations, either on the ROTC side, like Tyler, or on the armed queer side, like the people they brought in from Iran or the people they brought in from Pakistan. And again, we have a Pakistani agent, Syed. She's running the Pakistan. She was the Pakistan person in the FBI that was fired 2 weeks before this, so it probably came from Pakistan. But here's their alibi. The people who own N888, here's their alibi, and they give an alibi for the afternoon flight, not the night shadow flight, not the night covert flight. Again, when you see people giving alibis and not acknowledging that there was a late night shadow flight, you know that that's where you need to look. All right. But I put their alibi in here just in case. Armed peers, we're really looking strongly at Air Force. We're looking strongly like the John Sullivan. I somehow have the CNN film of Ashley Babbitt being killed before any of the other media. It's in a closed off room, and I'm the only one with the film. CNN's the only one with the film, so we can make sure we control the narrative. This looks like an Air Force ROTC operation. Not saying there isn't some Army ROTC here. Not saying there isn't some Navy ROTC in here as well. So again, that's why we're staying in cheap hotels in all the university towns. Okay. Again, it wasn't a Dodge Challenger. We don't believe it was a Bombardier Challenger. And because we have the signature, right? If this car went back and forth 6 times and somebody could prove that to me and have flight aware radar on that, I'd be all over the Dodge Challenger. But no, we have that kind of data over here for the plane. And again, people don't think Charlie's ever flown on a multi-seat plane. I can tell you that's not true. Okay, we're going to go back here really quick to the Substack or the live stream. Sorry I wasn't able to get to all your messages, but I'll try to get through them as quickly as I can right now. Is anyone geofence the event? That's a great question, and I don't have the money to geofence the event. I wish I could. Cash Patel does. So again, if we can go to, for instance, Tyler's house, we can go to the house where all these people are coming and going with Twig's house, supposedly, right, is an obvious place to go. We can go to the ROTC locations and geofence and cross-interface those. We can go to the state capitol steps for when these various armed queers were generated. We could get data. I'm here. I'm willing to do it. I got time. So anybody who has the money and wants to do this, they did this with Crook's home and Crook's work, and we immediately got those 20 hits, and immediately they hid 6 of them because those were the other stops on the white van to take the kids for shooting lessons at Clarendon. But I'm just saying that geofencing does work. Bullets do not create wind gusts. Go stand by a train or go stand by a bus when it goes by you. Okay, right? There's energy there, and the energy there's air molecules that are static. Okay. And what happens is the force is moving them and it compresses the air, and then it's released. The energy is released, right? Because the things want to go back to equilibrium. Okay. Again, you never get this. You never get this ever. We have this in this case. It tells you exactly where the shot came from. You never get that, right? Again, here we're all arguing in the amphitheater, right? Nobody talking about the team, right? So it's not Motel 6. Not Motel 6. All right, hold on. Hang on. Hold the phone. There you go. Super. Super 8. Okay. So there you go. What can I say? And then now we have the people trying to organize our death. All right, you got the people from England trying to organize our death. Didn't we just have somebody trying to incite death and then the person get his head blown off? Right. So th- why wouldn't we want to have Interpol right on this person's ass right now, going in and dragging him out by their heels on their ass? Right? Why wouldn't we want to have that right now? That's what you got here. Right. And again, they go after us like this. This is hate speech. Okay. So, but it does exist. And people say the Holocaust deniers and stuff. I mean, this is the stuff we put up with. So, anyway, audio files, Aaron Adler, UVU mentors, Gary Browning, very interesting career. Had a pipeline with LDS in Russia, would be team leaders. Yeah, these were all LDS was a big part of foreign operative because they do the student missions. Nothing wrong against LDS, but when you have a very strong fundamentalist FLDS, the Robert Allen Hale wing of LDS, we're talking about the IB Hale wing of LDS, where they think, hey, God told me to seed all these women. I'm supposed to kill all these. If the woman is beautiful, I'm supposed to kill the husband, and I'm supposed to have an unexplained death, and then I'm supposed to inherit that woman and then take care of that woman and then spread my seed and have 50 wives. It's sort of kind of like the Muslim thing, right? With Muhammad. It's sort of like that Muhammad idea of, hey, I should kill all the other tribes and then take their women and then create, more of my tribe, right? That's the same thinking, right? I'm talking about FLDS. I'm talking about a very extreme wing of LDS. Okay. This is Mitt Romney's grandfather, though. Right? This is Mitt Romney's grandfather. I think secretly it still is Mitt Romney's belief. Shockwave moves from right to left. Yes, I mean every you don't get normally evidence like this, and we're throwing it on the floor, and we're all arguing over these things. We all agree it's a team. I got the second shooter. I got the second shooter blues, right? I got the second shooter. I said I got the second shooter. I got the second shooter blues, right? I think we all got the second shooter blues. Let's get away from the second shooter blues. Let's just not sing it, they say, how many country singers does it take to change a light bulb? One to change the light bulb, and then 10 to sing about how much they miss the old one. That's not a productive activity. It's not a productive activity. Robert Allen Hale. This is very Robert Allen Hale and Ivy Hale. It's the same thing with Matt Robinson, same thing with Hassan. That's what you're not seeing. You're not seeing Ivy Hale here turning his, Robert Allen Hale in, right? When they finally track the Mauser to Robert Allen Hale's doorstep, then they go, well, I'm going to turn him in, right? And then we'll queer the evidence. We saw yesterday this guy who on the next day went in and stole the evidence, and it looks like an SKS, right? Why would you send a guy in? Looks like he has an earpiece, an ear radio, right? And he goes in and he steals the SKS, and now we replace it with Grandpa's Mauser. Why would you queer the evidence like that? It's the only reason you would do that is so he would be acquitted. Okay, where does Rogue ATF get the funding? That's an easy one. Drugs, big time, incredible amount of money. So, people going after my heritage again. People going after my heritage. Oh, it never fails. Trying to organize my death. Let's see. Does Erica's dad have a long history of the military? I think he has a DOD background. Stay alive. I'm going to try. I'm trying to stay one ahead of these stalkers who are trying to organize my murder. So when I don't give all the information, you realize I don't want to end up like Gary Webb and Danny Casolaro here. That's the selfish part. Again, arguing the forensics right now, I don't think is our best use of our time. It's arguing the team is the way to go. Opus Day, people are putting up the dog jumped. How do you rate Cash Patel at the moment? Rapidly improving. He's listening, obviously listening. He came out, that was huge. He came out here, that was huge. He needs to come back here, right? I think he's getting better. Yeah. Carbine 911. We've talked about Greg Carr. We've talked about the 80 couples, the art students, not the art students that were, with that they accused of pre-wiring the our WTC, but the ones that went out and did all the surveillance on all the sheriffs in the 80 largest counties in America, right? With Converse, the Converse, Converse, and the AMDocs, American Documents, the AMDocs. So we've talked a lot about how getting in the 911 puts you in the catbird seat as far as all of the information, and you just cycle all that information, see who the violent people are, see who's committing the crimes. You don't need to pull the crime records because most cases never go to court, right? The 911 gives you a unique insight, right, of what really happens, and that's where Carbine is with Palantir. Why there aren't any real pictures of Kirk's kids' faces? All right. I guess people are competing almost for a slip and slide. Remember this, he was a paper pusher in Washington while we were out beating the streets, and I was learning the ropes from task force before she died suspiciously, right? We were beating the streets every day, night and day. He over in Devin Nunes's office, he was pushing papers around, pushing papers. He's still a little bit doctrinaire in terms of what he can and can't do. He needs a little Mississippi burning in his soul. He needs a little Gene Hackman in his soul, right? We got to get this shit done, all right? There's some corners we might have to cut. You got to stay alive, right? And you might have to cut a few corners, okay? So that's how it is. Why did the necklace fly off? Again, we're just seemingly can't get out of the amphitheater. We can't get out of the amphitheater. It's just so difficult. It just keeps drawing us back in. We can't seem to get out of the amphitheater. The game's over, right? It's a second shooter. It's a team, right? You just saw the basketball game, and you now have proof there's more than one player. So it's not one guy in the gym shooting by himself. It's a team. The bus is leaving, right? So you got to go get that bus, right? If you say, well, no, the jump shot was a little bit farther out. I'm going to put the X on the thing where Webb hit the, where when he went over 1,000 points, at Miami. That's where it was. Okay, no. I'm going to say Webb was over here when he went over 1,000 points. Oh, he was over here when he got the rebound. Okay, when he went over 660 rebounds and got fourth on the rebound list, he's over here. Let's argue about that. No, that's not what you want to argue about. You want to get the team bus before it gets to Panama or wherever it's going. So there you go. Promise Software, we talked about Promise going to PTech, going to Palantir, going to Prism to Palantir. I've got a whole Substack on it. Okay. Okay. I'm just going to blow through anything that's amphitheater. I'm going to just blow through anything that's amphitheater because it doesn't make any sense. Yes, basketballs were there. Yes, basketball players were there. Yes, there's a score on the scoreboard. Yes, we know it was a team. Okay. All right. Now, the team is the one that killed Charlie. Okay. So focusing on the basketball right now and looking at the basketball from every different angle and saying, oh, no, I think it was inflated to 14.8 pounds. No. It was 14.9. No, I can clearly show it was 15 pounds. It was okay, great. We've proved that the basketball was overinflated, but the team's getting away. Okay. The team is getting away. All right. So hello, everyone. We'll go here. Let's see. Probably stayed relatives. Yeah. Well, more death threats. Okay. That's not only do you make $8 a month on paid Substack, but the people who have been running the drugs for 300 years, the British East India Company, in combination with the British royal family, and they get to come on here and try to orchestrate my murder live, Cash Patel. So that's always nice. That's always comforting. So that's always comforting. Okay. Garland, Texas. Look at what they did in Garland, Texas. Oh boy. Okay, I'm going to just shut it down. Hamamoto did a great line stream with Sean Atwood. I saw that. I thought it was great. Dr. Hamamoto's great. Gay camp and so forth. Okay, we're just going to leave it there because we just can't seem to just let that sink in a little bit. You're sitting there, you're still in the seats. The basketball teams have left. You know the teams did it, and now we're focused on the detritus of the basketball game. And we're just all arguing over what we saw and what happened while the team is getting away. Okay, where would you be going if you were an investigator? Okay, where did the bus go? Right, the players are on the bus. Okay, all right, we'll leave it right there. Everybody's so locked in to the confetti on the basketball court and what the final score was, and if somebody didn't get a point or if there's somebody called a timeout 2 seconds earlier and then get to use all their timeouts, or this referee had a bad shoe shine. We're all focused in on the amphitheater, right? Which we know it's a team, we know it's a second shooter. We got to get out of the amphitheater. We got to go get the team. I'll leave it right there. Thank you all for joining me very much. MIC. See you real soon. KUYY, because gosh darn it, we like you. MOUSE.